Now, the City game against Crystal Palace, which was on Sky Ireland and which I watched, was extraordinary, Liam. The first thing to say that people may not realise is that Guardiola picked John Stones, who is a centre-half, to play the holding role in midfield, which was a strange decision. He also had Otamendi and Laporte as his back two. And then, of course, he doesn't really have a full-back. Fabian Delph is a former midfield player. He played left-back. And really, people will say Palace were lucky, but they weren't actually. They looked a bit weary, City, Liam. The press wasn't there. The only big name he left on the bench, Agüero and De Bruyne, brought them on later in the game. The only player you could say was really big player that was missing was David Silva. But it was a kind of strange performance. Townsend scored an amazing goal for Palace. It'll be goal of the season.
It was. Yeah, I didn't see it. You saw the live match. I saw the highlights, and I read about it as well. And Palace defended deep and denied them space.
Yeah.
Jesus for me is not as good as, nowhere near as good as Agüero.
No.
I think if you analyse the game, I think probably Guardiola maybe underestimated Palace a little bit. Maybe thought that this was going to be a routine win.
Yes.
And left the likes of De Bruyne on the bench and Agüero, and strange back four. Otamendi hasn't featured much this season. We all believe he's a weakness because we've seen him make mistakes time and time again. And if anything, maybe it was a little bit complacent of Guardiola to pick that team.
Yeah, I thought so, Liam.
It's opened the door big time now for Liverpool, hasn't it?
Yeah, I just can't see John Stones as a midfield player. Now, people said afterwards, a lot of people said it proved how important Fernandinho is to City because he didn't play. He wasn't available. He was injured. I'm not sure that's the answer. I think Fernandinho is a useful enough holding midfield player, or puts his foot in and wins tackles. But I don't think he's the key to Manchester City. Do you?
No. Where we saw in the World Cup how poor he was, Fernandinho playing for Brazil. Now, I don't think he's anything wonderful by any stretch of the imagination. I think Stones probably playing there was part of this complacency I'm on about him that Guardiola has shown from time to time. Yeah. And it backfired, but you have to say, like, the goal Palace got by Andros Townsend was incredible, wasn't it? We won't see a better goal than that all season. But City, Otamendi, Laporte, Delph playing left back. Most of the time in the Premiership, City can get away with maybe tinkering with the teams, but Hodgson is a wily old manager. He's good tactically. He denied them space even when Agüero came on. I thought Palace defended really well. They got a lot of people behind the ball, defended deep, and maybe someone like Silva is the player that City are missing, because when things get tight and there's a lot of bodies in and around the 18-yard box, you need that guy with the imagination that Silva's got to come up with a little bit of magic, a little bit of a 10-yard, 5-yard pass in behind people, which he has done time and time again. And I think he's a big miss for City at the moment. Yeah,
interestingly, one of the things that happened, and I never thought I'd see it, is City started lumping it in the box, a la Martin O'Neill. And in fact, the second goal they got, De Bruyne's goal, he was on the touchline and he lumped one to the far post. The keeper misread it. It was in the back of the net. But going back
that was a cross, wasn't it?
It was a cross, yeah. Going back to Jesus, he had a great chance, a header, which he didn't take, and that was very significant.